Welcome to the Business of Wholesaling. I'm your host, Drew Carroll, and I'm here with Niel with the Deal, straight out of Riverside, California. And I'm super excited to be here talking to you. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. Just excited to be on and just ready to have a great conversation.
Niel, who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Niel. I'm in I've been licensed. I've been in the real estate industry for about 8-9 years. Been licensed for 6 of those years, and I've been wholesaling for about 2.5. Wholesaling, flipping about 2.5 years now. We've done over 240 transactions. It's been a good path,
Yeah.
Started when I was 18 years old. I'm 28 right now, and I don't see myself doing anything else.
And how'd you ever get started in this, of all things?
Dude, I graduated. I mean, it's like the cliche story, right? Like I barely graduated high school with the 2.1. I didn't qualify for financial aid or FAFSA or anything to go to school. And I was like, dude, why am I going to get myself in all this debt when I don't even like school anyways? So I actually went to a seminar and I met a real estate broker there and kind of just connected with him. And he's like, hey, you want to work? And I was like, dude, please put me to work. And I moved out from Riverside. So I moved out of my house when I was 18 and I moved out to LA and worked with him for 5 years. And, got a lot of experience and kind of branched out on my own 3 years ago. And now we're doing our own thing.
Good for you. That's awesome. I don't think enough people think about this or do this when they're just like, they first off, you need to understand, to become an entrepreneur, you are in the business of skill acquisition. So your path should always be, how do I acquire a skill efficiently in the shortest amount of time? And so, like, I love what you're talking about. Like you worked in somebody else's business who was doing what you wanted to do. Once you acquired the skills, that's when you moved on to do your own thing.
Yeah, it was interesting because at the time I just wanted to make money, so I didn't know what I was really learning. And, I feel like a lot of young people that get into the industry don't really know what they're learning. But dude, now looking back, I learned how to build the CRM management, automations, how to market to a CRM, direct mail, profit and loss statements. I mean, corporate structures, corporation. I mean, all kinds of stuff that now it's very, very valuable. But then I had no idea. I just wanted to get that deal and get a 5-figure check,
Yeah, absolutely. So how big's your team now?
It's just 3 of us right now.
Just 3 of you. And how many deals are you going to do this year?
So, it's funny because we don't really base it on deal flow because we're in Southern California. We base it more on assignments and commissions. Right now, we're on track to do about 550 this year. We have a banger deal closing this month. That's a 6-figure assignment. So that one's really gonna put us over the top,
That's incredible. That's awesome. 3-man team, man. So what, you're going to be breaking 7 figures next month or next year?
Yeah. That's the goal. Right? Right now we're at about 37% profitability because it's such a small team. But yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? 7 figures next year. 7 figures before 30 was always my goal. So we're on track. We're looking pretty good.
That's a pretty good goal. I love it. So tell me, and you told me before when we jumped on here that you're an immigrant, and that, like, you're not even born in the United States and you're able to have this amount of success before 30. So tell me about that. And, like, what would you say to other people in the same situation who are trying to do the best for themselves?
Yeah. So I was born in Mexico, in Sinaloa, actually. I'm first generation immigrant. My parents don't even speak English. And, it's cruel. It's crazy because I came here when I was 4, but I never used it as an excuse to not do what I want to do. Like, it was never really a thought. The only thing is that when we turned 18, 19, 20, and they were going to Rosarito, Mexico and all this stuff, having fun, I had just gotten into real estate and I literally couldn't go. So I just got to work. So in a way, it was like a blessing in disguise. So, while they were out there having fun and stuff, I was working and it ended up working out, and here we are. I just got married about a year ago. It's about to be a year, December 2nd. And doing my adjustment of status. So that's pretty exciting, So I bought a house this year. I got married and I'm getting my green card. So it's a big year. So it's a really big year.
Is your wife in real estate as well?
She's not. So she's a therapist. So she keeps me sane.
That's perfect. That's exactly what somebody in real estate needs.
Yeah. So she's a therapist, and it's funny because sometimes, she'll I can see because I'm in sales too, right? So we use the tactics, but it's interesting because then I'll call her out on it and she'll be like, no. And then I'll be like, come on, baby, I already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
tell me of the operation. What is your dispo strategy?
So right now, I was telling you off camera, I am licensed. So a lot of the stuff that we get, to be honest, we're in a position right now where we got this really good contact that funds us, that I just met over the years. And right now our strategy is locking up deals. And if we can, assign them off market. The cool part is that we have events too. So we're pretty known in our area. So we get a lot of calls from investors saying, hey, what do you have right now? What do you have right now? So we kind of have an idea of, you can give me a zip code in my market and I already know what a property's worth. Kind of like a generic idea, but a lot of the stuff, we're even closing and putting back on the market on the MLS. And then, we have friends that have access to Investor Lift. We had Investor Lift for a little bit, but we just weren't utilizing it as much because we're not nationwide. And I had it when we were nationwide, so we were using it. But then right now we're only focused on our local market. And, it's just very easy because I can call maybe 10, 15, 20 investors and a lot of them will take the deal, especially if it's off market. And if we can't assign it, a lot of the times we just close it, clean it up, and then relist it because I am licensed.
That's awesome. Like I can only imagine the difference between having a license and not. And what that would do to your conversion rate. Because I think that's what a lot of investors miss is they're like, oh, I'm going to be a wholesaler. I'm going to make like 20 grand, one call closes and everything's going to be great. And it's like, those deals are like 1 in 10. And if you can
literally 1 in 10,
if you have different dispo strategies or you're licensed, there's so many different things you can do with these other people who aren't going to sell you their house at 50% ARV.
Like I said, I'm licensed, so we're even doing buyers and sellers. What's cool is that the last flip we did, I actually got one of my actual buyers into the flip, and so we controlled the loan, we controlled the investment, and we controlled the listing. We controlled it from beginning to end. So it's kind of nice having a license sometimes, because of that. And to be honest, back in 2022, before rates changed, 2021, wholesaling was cool, and it was like an equation, right? Like one equation for all sellers. Rates changed, the market changed. It's not like that anymore. So we literally do whatever we can get, right? So whether it's a listing, whether it's a buyer, whether it's a flip, whether it's a wholesale off market, on market, whatever,
What is the goal for the company? Like, where do you see yourself going? Is it owning a bunch of doors? Is it being more flippers? Where do you see your kind of circle of genius?
Right now, it's for sure my goal right now. Like I said, I bought 2 properties this year. My goal is to buy 2 properties every single year minimum until I'm 40. So, I should have anywhere from 24 to 30 properties by the time I'm 40. And then after that is like, okay, what's next? No, but it's a continuous of everything, right? Like I'm thinking until I'm 40, but I'm fairly young still. So I don't know what's after that, right? But from here to 40 is, continuing to flip. Burring. So all the ones that we get that are really, really sweet deals is keeping those, like no questions asked. If we're going to get a free piece of property after we refi, then why not? Right. Yeah. So especially if we're buying them now and then in 20 years, they're going to just be ridiculous. So, acquiring, flipping, and then still having the sales business, maybe doing 7 figures as a sales business with a very, very small team like we are now, and then doing 6 to 12 flips a year. And acquiring 2 doors a year. And I'm going to just run that system until I'm 40, and with that system alone, we should be doing $3, $4, $5 million a year.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. Like the assets and long-term wealth, I think people overlook and they chase cash flow. So it's super smart, especially this early in your business, to having a balance of both, which is incredible.
I actually learned that from Thatch. I got coached by Thatch. Shout out to Thatch Nguyen. He's all about that. Just keeping 1, 2 properties a year and, building your business, getting the cash flow, and then investing it into real estate.
What's been your best investment in your business?
I would say the best investment in my business would be paying for mentorships and coaching, investing in myself. I've gone coaching from Thatch, results-driven REI with Tiffany. We got coached by them. Donovan Ruffin, I don't know if you know him. He's based out of Texas. He's been a big help as well. He's really, really good friend of mine. So really just connecting with high level people like that and paying them for their time. I think that's been the biggest ROI that I've gotten besides spending the money on the marketing and all that stuff, is really investing it in myself, because regardless if, I lose it all, I can just rebuild it back up.
Yeah. There's a lot of confidence or there's a lot of like security, having the confidence in a skill set for sure to be able to build it back up. Tell me about that path a little bit, because I think new investors, especially young ones that very much relate with you, what was that experience for you? Like, did you start with like buying a small course or something, or did you hop right in? Were you just like, got $5,000, I'm getting a mentor? Or how that, because I know Josh and Tiff, for example, they have some lower end courses as well as some very high end stuff as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, it didn't start off, just spending all this money on the courses. I remember with Thatch at the time when I joined the course, it was like $3,000 up front, 3 or 5K. I don't even remember. It was back in 2020, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago, but it was $3,000 or $5,000. And I remember at the time I called them and I was like, hey, look, Thatch, I really want to join your program. I don't have the full $3,000 or 5,000. Can I do the payment of half? And then in 30 days, do another half? Because I'm waiting, just negotiating with him. Yeah. And the guy was so cool. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And I joined his program. And, that's really when the market really started to take off. And I literally knew nothing about wholesaling. I joined his program trying to get listings because I got referred to him by an agent at my office at the time that was killing it. And so I joined his program. And then I find out his main thing is wholesaling and investments and stuff like that. He was heavy retail in the past, but at the time he's more investments. And then I was like, man, and then I just didn't want to be that guy that asked for his money back, So I was just like, let me just run with it. Let me just run with it. And I did it. I was with him for about a year and literally gave me the fundamentals of the wholesaling business. And then from there, I just started paying for more and more, started making money. And when was it? Like a year and a half ago, I paid Donovan Ruffin. For a 1-year mentorship, I paid him $25,000. And it's scary. It's a lot of money, that's like half a flip, Yeah. But I definitely, again, it's just, you just got to be careful with that too, right? There's a lot of gurus out there. There's a lot of people that say they can teach you, but you really have to look at what they're doing, not just actively, not just what they've done in the past or what they say they're doing, but actually look at what they're doing. Like, for example, Donovan Ruffin, I flew out to Texas and, I was in his office and he showed me everything. And I was like, man, this is sick,
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference between operators and influencers. And there's a tremendous amount of influencers, we'll say, who have masterminds and their whole business is masterminds. And so they fill it with content, but not any sort of like anything that they've actually done with their hands on. And maybe they'll bring in some great speakers and things like that. I'm not bashing the model, but like to your point, like find some friggin' operators because you want to learn to be an operator, not some Instagram influencer.
Like show me the business, like show me the business, show me your KPIs, show me how you market, how you convert, what's your sales process. Like show me your actual business. Like how many leads do you have in your CRM? How are you touching the leads, right? How are you calling them? That, like all that technical stuff is what I want to see. The motivation doesn't work no more. I don't need to be motivated,
How does your business work operationally from the front end now? What happens when a lead comes in? How does like CRM and team and everything?
Yeah. So the moment a lead comes in, it depends on where it's coming in from but as far as like the automation side, but we try to call it within the first 5 minutes. And if we don't get a hold of it in the first 5 minutes, we'll call it 3 times that day. And if we don't get a hold of them, then we'll send them a text. They'll go into the no answer, right? So we run off of pipelines and then we'll track how many attempts we've done. And then if we don't get a hold of them within the first 7 days, after calling them 3 times a day, every day, then they go into a drip system. And the next 60 days, they get text every 2 or 3 days until they respond. And if they never respond, they go into something called the discovery stage, which we got from Tiffany. And then we have a lead manager calling those all day, reviving them and then transferring them back to the acquisitions.
Interesting. And at that point, they basically stop back at the top of the daisy chain into the automation.
Yeah, because they're rewarmed up. So even old leads, right? We revive old leads all the time, or we'll send also when we talk to somebody, since we're doing our local market, we'll send them a thank you card. We'll send them a thank you card, something very personable, like, hey, it was a pleasure connecting. Reach out to us whenever you're ready or whatever, and then we'll send them a thank you card, and then we'll really try to do like personal stuff like that. Or if I'm in the area, I'll go door knock them, and I'll say, hey, I understand that you weren't ready right now, but I just wanted to come introduce myself. We're actually getting a deal right down the street, and I wanted to put a face to the name.
Like this industry is being definitely sold as like you can do this from your basement and a cell phone. How important do you find it creating relationships with these sellers and actually being a face and going and talking to them and in being a part of their lives and understanding their issues? Do you find that to be a much larger part of the equation than maybe initially thought or sold? Or how do you see that now?
100%. You really have to, especially at least for me personally speaking in the market, right? Like you really, especially in California, sellers are very savvy. And the thing about cash offers right now is that everybody's doing cash offers, right? Everyone wants to be a wholesaler. So it's like, okay, how do we differentiate? How do we stand out from everybody that does the cash offers?
Yeah.
let me
What's your
simplify
USP?
that. So the face-to-face, really understanding, and really building a relationship, because since it is our local market, we're going to get referrals, especially being licensed, right? If her daughter or the seller's aunt or neighbor wants to sell, then if you really understand them and understand that part of the business, I mean, you're going to do far better. And it's more of a sustainable business, and your cost per acquisition will actually go down because it compounds. You're building that local brand. So, especially for people that are just getting started, that don't have a lot of money, that aren't lead Zolos that have millions of dollars to spend on ads every single year. If you're just somebody like me, that's on the younger side, didn't really have a lot of capital to start with, it's very important to build that relationship with the sellers, because then, people with a lot of money will come and wow them. And at least with the relationship, you can hang on to that relationship and leverage that relationship when they want to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody a little while ago. By a little while ago, I think I literally mean a few hours ago. And his point was like, literally, people think it all comes down to the number. He's just like, he's quite happy to know he won't be the best number. And he'll tell the seller that while he's sitting on their couch with them. He'll tell them, listen, I can get you 135. You're gonna, and the seller's like, well, I got two other people. And he's like, listen, one of them's gonna come in around 140. They'll max, you'll get 146. I'm telling you that right now. I can only do 135. That's what those guys will tell you. Give me a call after you meet with them and just let me know like how close I was, right? He kind of makes it a joke. And sure enough, like he gets the call back and they end up going with him because he might not have had the best number, but at least they liked him. They trusted him, and they trusted that he was going to help them through this difficult time in their life. And that was more important than the money. And if we really trace this all the way back, like we're dealing with people who are in pain and want out of pain. We're not dealing with people who have a hard number in their head and want a certain amount of money for their home. They just want out of pain. And so if we can just show them that and show them that we can do that with such ease, and we're not going to leave them guessing or thinking they're getting scammed or locked up in paperwork or all this bullshit, that's what helps this business, because that's what this business is about, is helping sellers.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too is next to that is the communication, right? Like when all hell breaks loose and stuff's not going well, like answer your phone. Like don't stop answering.
Yeah.
Like answer your phone, like it doesn't matter how many deals you're doing. You're not that, like us as in the industry, we're not that busy to not answer the phone and just be like, hey, Mr. Seller, let me call you right back. I'm in an appointment right now. Give me like 10 minutes or whatever,
And that's all it takes sometimes. Like, yeah, totally. Tell me about the craziest deal in the last few months or of all time, whatever. Tell me about your craziest deal. I want to hear everything about it.
Man, it's so crazy because you asked me that and it just came to mind. Like no hesitation, was not any other deal but this one. It fell out of escrow 7 times.
What?
It took me 10 months to close it. It fell out. I got it under contract in May of 2022. And
do you know where you got the lead from? Like, was it?
It was a cold call lead. I had 20 cold callers at the time. Yeah, I had 20 cold callers at the time. And dude, I remember it was the trustee. It was a sister. The brother had passed away. It was a probate, actually, now that I remember. So it was a probate. The brother had passed away. He had 2 properties in the estate. It was out in the desert in 29 Palms. And it was exactly when the market was shifting, right? When they had announced that feds were going to increase rates and all this other stuff. So I got it under contract May 31st, I remember. And they changed rates at the end of June or July. I don't remember exactly when they did it. But as before, like 2 weeks before we were supposed to close, the whole market takes a shit. So I had it under contract for $150K and I couldn't even sell it for $60K.
No.
Like that whole market, it was like when Airbnbs in Joshua Tree died, 29 Palms in general just died. Like it just, stuff that was selling in Joshua Tree for 700K couldn't even sell for 200K. I put it on the market. I contacted everybody I knew. I tried JVing with people. And it was actually my buddy Cameron Tate. He actually found the buyer, and shout out to him because we got it done. But dude, I had about $20,000 of my own money in there to clean up the property because it was a hoarder house. And the buyer that I had wanted the property clean. So the spread was there. So I was like, you know what? I'll front the money, and the seller was going to pay me back once we closed on it. So I was very, very involved in this deal.
Yeah.
And dude, I had like a 5K EMD. I had $20,000 in cleaning fees, and then it was just buyer after buyer after buyer that just kept falling off, and I just couldn't close it. And 10 months later, after the 7th or 8th buyer, we finally closed it, and I got my money back. But I mean, during that time, I was just so attached to that deal. I was like, dude, I'm not going to lose $25,000. Like I'm just not okay with that.
Is there a lesson in that? Because it feels like it was a bad timing thing more than anything else. But is there a lesson in that?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson that I had was having the buyer do a bigger EMD and releasing the EMD to clean out the property. So maybe structuring it a little better so I don't come out of pocket. Mm-hmm. So doing that, thank God the seller was super cool, and she really, again, relationship. She really, really liked me, and she saw that I was working, and it's just the timing, just the market. It just was not it. So they stuck with me, and at the end they knew that I wasn't purchasing the property, that I had got him a buyer, and I was working my ass off for it, and they stuck with me. And they lived in Oklahoma, and she would be like, "Hey Neil, don't stress. Like I know you're gonna get it done." And I'm like, "Man, you sound like this is uplifting, Yeah. And it was cool because once we closed, there was some money in there that still needed to be paid back, and we closed, and I just did not want to delay it anymore. I was like, screw it, we'll do it out of escrow. And sure enough, we closed on it, and they kept their word and sent me the money back once they got paid the money. Yeah. So I was like, man, and going back to that relationship, like really, really building the relationship with the sellers, and not coming off as like, you're just an investor that's going to take on my equity. It's like, no, like I'm really, really here to give you options and support you the best way I can. Obviously we don't work for free. Yeah. Right. But if you run the numbers with them honestly and transparently, and really show them like what you're projected to make, obviously with the comps and everything, like a lot of sellers are actually okay with that because they understand that it needs money and it needs a lot of work. And a lot of the times they just don't care if you make money. Obviously nobody likes to work for free, but you just have to build that relationship with them, and your deals will just go way more smooth.
If you can just show them the less painful way, they'll appreciate it. What was your biggest profit deal?
So right now, it was a $62,000 assignment, which was that same year in 2022. Yeah. Right now, actually, it's going to close in 2 weeks, which will be our biggest one, which will be $110,000.
And that's an assignment fee as well, or a flip?
That's an assignment, correct.
And how many flips do you guys do, or how many flips are you going to do this year?
This year, I mean, we're only on our 4th one. So next year, our goal is to do 6. Increasing 50% every year. But yeah, I mean, I'm mainly a wholesaler and a realtor. Like I didn't start flipping until probably like 18 months ago. I've done probably like a total of 12 months ago, I've done a total of 5 flips. This will be our 5th one.
And so why? So I'm curious because most people I talk to, they're just like, that's the first thing I'm getting rid of because that's the headache. Although I know that that's also the money. So why are you in there, and why do you have goals to grow that division of your business?
So for me, my dad's a contractor. He's in construction. So it's my way of retiring him. If we can just do maybe 3-4 flips a year, he can quit it, if consistently he'll quit his job and he'll make more money doing the flips than at his job.
Right.
So that's number one. Number 2 is I want to buy and hold properties. So if I'm already flipping them, I can just cherry pick the ones that I want to keep. They're already going to be rehabbed, right? The burr ones. And then 3, the reason I like flips personally is, again, because my dad's the one that manages it. But it takes money to flip, right? $80,000, $100,000, at least in our market. So if I park that money there, that means I can't spend the money for 4 months.
It's like a little investment. It's like,
that pays a lot of dividends, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So,
that's
so that's
smart.
kind of my thought process towards it.
And I think you're really blessed having your father as a contractor, because I know a lot of investors who get hung on that part because they either know a really good contractor and they've been in relationships with them for years, done all this work, and then they go to a new market and just assume it's going to be that easy,
Yeah.
and they lose their shirt because they have a really hard time finding a good GC, or whatever it might be. So that's interesting. It's like a
Yeah, you can lose a lot of money very fast in flips. I mean, you can one bad flip and you're out of business. You know, at least if for a lot of people that have never flipped before, barely getting into the industry. You know, we have our buy box. We don't do anything luxury. Our purchase prices that we like to stay within was 350 to 700K. You know, which is there's a lot of buyers. You know, the loan limits aren't past that. You know, you sweat a lot. Yeah, you make more with the luxury ones, but you sweat a lot more too. Yeah.
That's a problem with big prices. There's that much more variable.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. So what's the next step? What's going to be the biggest lever for your company in 2025? What are you guys like monomaniacally focused on for 2025 to grow your company?
Market share. We're not looking to do nationwide. We're not looking to even look at like, I mean, yeah, obviously cost per acquisition, but the main thing is market share, right? So like our main city is Riverside. Okay. So if there's 100 to 120 transactions in Riverside every single month on the MLS, not including off market, how many of that can the brand Offer Central do? Right. So whether it's 10%, that's 10 deals a month just in Riverside. So really, really honing in on the market share, doing local ads, billboards, really like if you're in Riverside and you even have any question about real estate, you're going to call Offer Central or Niel with the deal. That's the goal next year. Like really, really doing that.
I love that. Deep, not wide, man. That's biggest lesson we learn every single day in our company. Deep, not wide. Yeah. Deep, not wide.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then your dollar goes that much further, and then your dollar can actually make a difference in the community because you're investing back into the community, right? Whether it's, you know, having like in December, we're going to do a breakfast with Santa, and we're going to invite all our past clients in the area. And then, you know, we're going to have a gingerbread station for the kids and give presents and have Santa there, take photos with him. So doing stuff like that is really what we're focused on currently. And then next year, we're really going to go hard on that.
What do you guys, I know you use us, but what do you guys use for marketing as well, like outside of Leadzillow, as well as Leadzillow?
I mean, believe it or not, I still cold call. I cold call probates. You know, we really go hard on the probates. I like to cold call. I feel like it keeps me productive. So we cold call, mainly just cold call and PPL services is the main thing. I learned how to run Facebook ads and we also boost on Instagram. And then we also boost on Marketplace on Facebook.
How does that work? That's interesting. I haven't heard any investor talk about boosting in a Marketplace. So why is that a good strategy on Facebook?
So like, say, for example, we have a flip in Corona, right? We have the property. It's going to go on the market soon. Instead of listing it on the market, what I do is I put it on on Marketplace, say off market, coming soon, and then I'll boost that post. So then we get a ton of inquiries. So a lot of those inquiries are retail buyers. So, you know, either we find our own buyer or we find retail buyers and then we plug them in with a lot of the off-market sellers that we have through other lead sources. Because a lot of the sellers too say, hey, I don't want to list it. I don't want to work with the realtor. Just bring me a buyer and I'll pay a commission. Perfect.
So you're using Facebook to find buyers. That's interesting. So I've only
retail buyers.
Retail buyers. That's so interesting. So you're not even like lead gen, like to get sellers. It's just like you're using this for dispo.
Correct. Yeah. For retail buyers, especially if say, for example, we have a property that qualifies for financing, right? That's a wholesale and it's really tight or we just can't sell it. We'll run an ad on it and then we'll have retail buyers hitting us up. And then if we can get a retail buyer qualified, then what we do is we just sell it to them. I'll close on it and then I'll sell it to them. And if the loan, say the appraisal comes back saying, hey, you need all these repairs, I'll just do the repairs. We're in control of the transaction. I'll do all the repairs. I'll let them know, hey, we're going to do the repairs to qualify for the financing. And they're happy. They get a property. I mean, we're happy. We get the sale, right? And it's just a win-win all around that way.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I've literally not heard any other investor talk about doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, especially because like I said, I come from a licensed background, so I understand the retail side. A lot of wholesalers, investors, unless you've already constantly flipped, then you don't really understand it because the retail and the wholesaling are just completely different.
What is your close rate on like an inbound lead in general? I'm just curious because like you seem to have so many exit strategies that are super unique.
It's funny because if we can't find a solution for you, then you really don't want to sell. We can take it whatever way you want. Whatever way you want. What is it you want, Mr. Seller? If we don't find a solution, if we can't come up with something with you, then you really don't want to sell and you should reconsider.
That's what a powerful position to be in. Yeah, because you can take it right from 50% ARV right up to retail. And it's like, you just, here are your options. Which one do you want?
It doesn't matter which one you pick, Mr. Seller, as long as you pick one with us.
God, you should be aiming for like 10 million next year, man. This is
hopefully, yeah, we'll see. But our closing ratio, I mean, it varies. Usually with PPL services, we're doing 1 in 12 right now. But again, it's 1 in 12 cash offers, right? But then we convert, out of 12 leads, we'll convert 2 listings usually.
Right.
And then out of those listings, we'll just put a sign up and then we'll flyer the neighborhood and then we'll get a couple more listings.
It's incredible. So you're probably getting just a massive return on your marketing spend.
Crazy return. And it compounds because we're building the CRM all at once.
Incredible, right? And so too many people look at the like face value of it. So like we could like almost like you're getting like almost a 25% conversion rate from bought leads.
Yeah. And most people that like say, for example, that are on Leadzolo, it's all wholesalers, right?
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't be saying this, but you guys are probably going to get a lot more realtors after realtors listen to this, so maybe even tapping into that market for you guys,
Yeah. Well, and we know it to be true, right? Like we know if anybody applies to like buy leads from us, because one of the questions we ask on the form are what are your exit strategies? It is a direct correlation between people who are successful on the platform and the amount of exit strategies they have. Yeah. And we're talking to realtors. We actually have a realtor who's one of our salespeople, and she loves our leads.
Yeah, realtors will love. Yeah, I'm a realtor and I like them. I love them because you can convert them. However, it's and if they don't convert, again, you build the relationship and you add them to your CRM and then you invite them to the breakfast with Santa. Bring your kids.
That's incredible. How did you ever get here? Like, how did you ever get to a point where you're in real estate, you're talking about having $1 million year, you're doing community events? Like, that's a pretty mature place to be for a 28-year-old. What would you say contributed to you kind of getting to this place so quickly?
Man, that's such a hard question to answer because there's so many components, right? Like, for example, one of my really good friends is the county supervisor in Riverside County, right? So I see them and they build their brand through community events, and one of my best friends that I actually went to high school with is the mayor in Myrna Valley, which is the neighboring city, right? I grew up with him and I just see how they build it. So I'm kind of that really inspires me, kind of coming from like a politician vibe because they come off as professionals, as community people, not investors that just want to take your equity. They come from solution oriented. So that's kind of like, I guess the inspiration that I have coming from that, like a professional standpoint, because if people can see me like that, they can see me like that too. So then that's really where the collaborations come in and having community events and sponsorships. And like I said, I'm trying to go deep in the community, like really, really build roots in the community and not so much nationwide, because my end goal is to sell my business, my company. The first thing people ask is, well, what's your market share?
And people do business with people, right? People don't do business with a business. So correct. I think that you're crushing it. I think you're right onto the right thing. So what would you say to everybody who's listening to this, who's inspired by your story? How do they find more of you? What social media platforms are you mostly on? Yeah,
I mean, I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I mean, you guys can follow me, Niel with the Deal. I'm in Southern California. That's what I'm branding right now. My company name is Offer Central Real Estate. So that's really what we're branding in the community. And then Niel with the Deal as well. And I'm at the point right now where I'm trying to separate, because Niel with the Deal is more of the retail side, and then Offer Central is more of the investment company. So I'm really, really trying to separate that, because before it was just Offer Central, right? So now I'm trying to really build my personal brand and the company brand simultaneous. So yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram, DM me, contact me if you guys have any questions. I'm here to just be at service, just like somebody took a chance with me.
I love it, man. You're a rock star. I can't wait to meet up with you in a year and see where you're at. Thanks so much for coming on, Niel. This has been great. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thank you guys.